Good morning. I'm going to continue my series on the 1963-64 US Championships. As we know, Bobby Fischer won all 11 games. Each one of them was good in their own way. The first game were a demonstration of faultless endgame technique and a relentless pursuit of a whole point, where many players would have or could have settled for a draw. In the second game, we saw a brilliant attacking game from the King's Gambit. What are we going to see in this third game? Oh, let's see. So it's against Robert Byrne. He plays d4, and Fischer plays knight f6, Indian game of some type. And Byrne plays c4. Fischer plays g3, signalling that he's going to play a King's Indian defence. The idea of King's Indian defence is to have a very strong bishop on this diagonal. And develop a kingside attack relatively quickly. So, he plays c6 to blunt the bishop that Byrne is going to bring here. Byrne brings the bishop anyway, and Fischer goes to the d5. This actually now says Indian game Tartikover attack. This is what I'm playing as white at the minute, given the chance. And they swap off, and the knight's developed, and the bishop's developed, and the pawn is supported in the middle, and he castles, and the knight comes to e2, and the knight comes to c6. All very normal stuff. King castles, and b6 to free the bishop. And and white plays b3 with the same idea. And Fischer plays bishop to a6, threatening the knight here. And Byrne plays bishop to a3, threatening the pawn on b7. I'm just going to read something here. There are lots of great notes on this game, and this comes from the notes from the chessgames.com website. Yeah, the K.F. Kirby in the South African Chess Quarterly wrote, after White's 11th move, bishop a3, I should adjudicate his position as slightly superior. To turn this into a mating position in 11 more moves is more witchcraft than chess, and it is. You know, if we look at the analysis, it's actually going to say that black is slightly better here. 0.2, or quarter of a pawn better. But to think that in 11 moves it's going to be a checkmating position seems almost impossible. So Fischer supports the e-pawn, and Byrne develops his queen. e5. It's a pawn sacrifice. Fischer said here that yeah, it does give away a pawn, and it does give him a weak isolated pawn on the d file. But his estimation was that he gets such good activity for his pawn that he doesn't think that white will be able to exploit things. So he takes the pawn. Obviously, if Fischer just takes back, then this pawn is hanging. But he does just take back, leaving the e-pawn hanging. The point is, if he takes the pawn, he takes the pawn. Bishop takes the pawn, then bishop takes the knight, and then the bishop here is hanging. Whilst the bishop here is hanging, it doesn't matter that this bishop is threatened. So Byrne moves the knight to d1 to unpin the knight and to, make it so that the rook would no longer be hanging. Fischer and many other commentators say that the other rook was correct. And Fischer, either in my 60 memorable games or in an article he wrote a lot of articles for chess magazines, Fischer, goes into deep analysis and explains why this rook is better than this rook. This rook defends the f2 pawn, is all I will say on that subject. So, Fischer spots this mistake immediately and plays knight to d3, defended by the bishop, so that he is attacking the f2 pawn. And the queen comes to c2. Looks like a perfectly ordinary move. And Fischer uncorks his first sacrifice. A real surprise. And the king takes, and the knight comes to g4, attacking this pawn and saying check at the same time. King has to back up, and the knight gets a fork. So it looks like he's going to be getting an exchange, but since he's already a piece down in exchange, we'll just leave him 2 pieces down for a rook. Not a great position for Fischer, but of course there's more to it than that. The queen comes, and he takes on g2, and it looks like everything's perfectly safe, but he plays d4. He can't afford to play knight takes, or Fischer will play rook takes, queen takes, bishop takes, and then he will play rook here, check, I think. Yeah. No, that wasn't right. Ignore what I said. Wasn't right. You'll have to either look at an engine or work out for yourself why it was a bad idea to take the pawn on d4. Now, the main idea here is to play b7 check. And king plays to f1. And here, there was 2 grandmasters analysing this game in a separate room to the side, and they both said that white has a 1 position. But that's not the case. Fischer played queen to d7. Obviously, he's threatening to play queen to h3 check, followed by bishop to bishop takes pawn, mate, and if the bishop takes pawn, and if the queen takes, then he gets mate on bishop takes knight, sorry, and if the queen takes, he gets mate on g2. There's nothing he can do. He resigned. Fischer said, I'll just quote again, it's a good quote. Fischer said, a bitter disappointment. I'd hoped for queen f2, then he could have played queen h3 check, king g1, rook e1 check, forcing the capture with the rook, bishop takes d4, pinning the queen to the rook, and if the queen takes, queen b2 mate. But for the sake of accuracy, none of that happened. The game ended after 21. Rook d7, queen d7. A fantastic, completely unexpected and stunning attack. He just, and I think probably one of the best illustrations of Fischer's fantastic strength at chess, which was to play very actively. He was brilliant with active chess play on this. It's a great example of his active play. He just, And he's willing to give away a pawn, then he's willing a pawn for activity, then he's willing to give away a knight for more activity, and eventually, in very few moves, he overwhelms his opponents. Just a truly fantastic game from Fischer. And yeah, it's not surprising in this form that he went on to win the US Championships 11-0. I think his nearest competitor, Larry Evans, had 7.5 points or something like that. Yeah, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share my videos. Thanks. Bye.